Jeremy Vuolo had a difficult test ahead of his first date with Jinger Duggar. Jeremy, 38, talked about a previous time when he wanted to go on a date with a stunning woman in the podcast episode that aired on Wednesday, December 3rd. Before I could approach her father for permission to take her out on a date, I had to complete a 60-page form that included 235 questions. After I met her father, this occurred. Jeremy pointed up some of the things he needed to respond to before they could even meet up when he was out for coffee with 31-year-old Jinger, whom he married in November 2016. Jinger replied, "It definitely propelled our relationship very fast. I found some solace in reading it after my dad allowed me to peruse it. It revealed more about you." According to Jinger, her parents were worried that men may approach their kids for improper purposes after she rose to fame on 19 Kids and Counting. Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar conducted a 60-page survey in an attempt to learn more about who was pursuing their daughters. Jinger talked to Jeremy about the intimidating nature of the vetting process. "He benefited greatly from his conversation with you. I truly appreciated you pursuing me. It was worthwhile. From a cultural standpoint, the difficult part is the commitment needed before getting to know someone." Continue reading to learn Jeremy's answers to some of the queries Jinger posed prior to their first date. Jeremy remembers answering questions about everything from his weekly TV watching habits to his financial situation. Are you able to save money? How much, if at all, is it? How precisely? According to Jeremy, when reading off the questionnaire, are there any additional sources of income for you? Are you due money? What is the anticipated date of repayment? Have you have no debt? How important is a will? Do you have one now? How soon can you anticipate having one created after getting married? Jim Bob, an independent Baptist with strong religious convictions, was interested in learning about Jinger's potential partner's faith. Describe your religious upbringing for me. Tell me about the religious background of your parents. You read those queries off at what time? Jeremy stated, "How are you going to teach my daughter and our grandchildren if you're from a different denomination than them?" Before Jeremy could spend any time with Jinger, he had to respond to a series of extremely personal questions. "I would like to know whether you have never been intoxicated." One question requested, "In that case, could you kindly elaborate? Have you ever had the pleasure of kissing a woman in your life? How does it make you feel to have done this before being married? How have you been preparing for the wedding?" Jim has Bob wasted little time in learning about the dreams of Jeremy's family. "What are your thoughts on the impact of grandparents?" The survey's question was, would you allow them to live with you as they age? Would you prefer a son or a daughter more than the other? How would you respond if a child had a serious physical or mental disability? Would you consider adopting the child or having it aborted? One of the well-known stars of the TLC reality series 19 Kids and Counting, and later Counting On, Jinger Duggar, has lived under constant public observation. Fans have always been interested in her life, from her upbringing in the staunchly conservative Duggar family, known for its rigid religious beliefs and courtship customs, to her marriage to Jeremy Vuolo. However, Jeremy, her spouse, has recently stunned a lot of people by disclosing some of the strange and occasionally awkward questions that are included in the Duggar family's courtship exam. Fans of the show have always been fascinated by the Duggar family's courtship customs. Many people have praised and questioned their rigid rules, which cover everything from dating to physical contact, and rigorous set of rules and questions that both parties must respond to before beginning a relationship is a crucial component of their courtship system. According to the Duggar family's religious beliefs, these questions are a part of what is known as the courtship exam, a series of intensely intimate and inquisitive questions intended to determine whether a couple is prepared for marriage. The courtship exam. What is it? The questions answered in a dating relationship are not the same as those in the Duggar courting exam. It goes well beyond the typical questions like, what are your life goals? And where do you see yourself in 5 years? Rather, it explores very private subjects that many couples never talk about before marriage. Through the lens of the Duggar family's rigidly Christian worldview, the questions are frequently created to evaluate not only the partner's compatibility, but also their spiritual, emotional, and physical preparedness for marriage. For example, couples are frequently questioned about their personal issues, past relationships, if any, and even whether they would consider starting a family. The questions might occasionally come across as intrusive because they raise sensitive topics that may be taboo to discuss so publicly in addition to the couple's current relationship. These inquiries are intended to help the Duggar family make sure that both people are ready for the lifetime commitment of marriage and that their bond is based on a solid foundation of shared beliefs and ideals. The discovery of Jeremy Vuolo. The Duggar family's courtship customs have been openly discussed by Jeremy Vuolo, who married Jinger Duggar in 2016. Even though Jeremy was a devoted Christian and a former professional soccer player, he was nevertheless taken aback by the Duggar wooing technique. Jeremy disclosed some of the most startling questions that are asked during the courting exam in an interview. The depth and degree of personal information required by these questions, which are intended to assess the couple's relationship on several fronts, seems startling. Physical intimacy was one of the first things Jeremy brought up that caused a lot of people to take notice. The Duggar family requires couples to respond to incredibly detailed questions about their views on physical attraction and sexual limits before proceeding, even though they think that all physical contact, including kissing, should be saved for marriage. In the instance of Jeremy and Jinger, their inquiries focused on how they would deal with lust, attraction, and temptation, especially in terms of upholding purity. In order to ensure that the couple can navigate their relationship without going into areas they feel are immoral or evil, this type of question is intended to confirm that they have same ideas on bodily limits. The role of women in marriage was the subject of another startling query that Jeremy disclosed. The Duggar family, like many conservative Christian families, has a conventional view of marriage in which the wife is supposed to submit to her husband's authority and the husband is the head of the household. The idea of male headship and female subordination was one of the questions Jeremy was asked, along with how he intended to handle this relationship in his marriage to Jinger. In addition to exposing the expectation on men to be strong, authoritative leaders in the marriage, this question also illustrates the deeply rooted patriarchal ideals that are at the heart of the Duggar family's worldview. The topic of conflict resolution was one of the more disturbing issues Jeremy was asked. The issue of how to resolve disputes and conflicts is a significant one in partnerships when marriage is viewed as an unbreakable vow. The response to this issue is frequently assumed to revolve around the concepts of peacekeeping, forgiveness, and submission for the Duggars. Jeremy was questioned about how he would respond if Jinger became angry with him, and if he could act as a peacemaker and mediator without seeking outside guidance or assistance. Even while this type of question is meant to foster marital harmony, it can put a lot of pressure on the couple to work things out without assistance, which could result in unsolved issues. Religion's place in the courtship exam. Religion is a major subject in the courtship exam of the Duggar family. The conservative Christian views of the family greatly influence the questions posed throughout the wooing phase. Inquiries are made concerning a couple's religion and dedication to doing what God wants in their marriage. Since Jeremy and Jinger come from different backgrounds, Jeremy from a slightly less orthodox upbringing, and Jinger from the strict Duggar family, this was a very delicate subject for them. Nevertheless, they both had a strong religious conviction, which helped them pass the test. The couple's interpretation of the Bible and their plans to incorporate religious traditions into their married life are the subjects of some of the more religious queries. For instance, they are frequently questioned about how they intend to make church attendance, Bible study, and prayer a priority in their relationship. In addition to their personal spiritual lives, these inquiries focus on how they will encourage one another in their common religion as they forge a life together. The reaction and disagreement. Naturally, there has been much discussion since the courting exam's personal and somewhat intrusive questions were made public. The concept of asking such in-depth questions before a couple even becomes engaged makes a lot of people uneasy. According to some critics, these inquiries may put young couples under undue pressure and expectations, especially on their attitudes toward physical intimacy and marital submission. Some people think the Duggar family's wooing style is out of date and can lead to harmful power dynamics in partnerships. The rigid regulations of the Duggar family have long been a source of controversy. Whereas some admirers respect their adherence to traditional Christian principles, others believe that they are overly controlling and oppressive. Hearing about the courtship exam's questions gives many viewers a glimpse of the tremendous pressure young couples in the Duggar family face, particularly with regard to their physical, emotional, and spiritual preparedness for marriage. In conclusion, with its intricate and frequently startling questions, the Duggar family's courtship method provides a unique window into the world of ultra-conservative Christian dating. The purpose of the courtship exam is to make sure that couples are emotionally and spiritually prepared for marriage, but it has generated a lot of controversy. The strains this system places on young couples have been made clear by Jeremy Vuolo's disclosure of some of the exam's most strange and awkward questions.